Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video here we designed our add student registration page, right? So I have added that year, I loaded all that our year, I loaded all that our class, and also I loaded all that our group. So now I want to add another field. As I told you, a lot of the field we have to actually add in our, I have also passed that our shift data, right? So now I also want to load that our shift. So now go to our add, that means the student add page, and that is our fourth row. Better I copy total row. Okay, I copy total row, that I simply copy it. That is our 4 row, I copy, and then after this I'll paste it. Okay, I paste it. So that will be our fifth. Okay, I make it as a fifth, and then also that will be as I started fifth. Perfect. You can see how much easy right now. That will be very much helpful. For the reasons actually I'm always prefer to use some of the comment for you, and also I will share this every file into the GitHub. After I add this video I will add this into the GitHub. Okay, and then that is our, that will be as a shift, that will be as a shift, and that will be as a select shift, right? And you can see I didn't updated that name, so also make that you updated that name. So that means the year, so for the year that will be actually our this year ID. I copy this, that will be our this year ID. We don't need this ID actually. Okay, so that will be our name will be needed as a year ID. Make that sure you add it. So for the discount I have also updated that name, and for the classes, that will be name will be as a class ID. So I copy it, that will be as a class ID. Okay, and then also there is another one is a group, so that will be actually group ID. I copy it, I name it as per our database field name. Okay, that will be as a group ID. And then there is our another one as a shift, right? So that is our shift, and for the shift name, then our name is actually shift underscore ID. So I want to do and to name it as a shift ID. We don't need this ID. Perfect. And then with the shift, that will be as a selected shift. I have already passed this data or variable as a shift. Now we can actually access it in our student add page. So now go there, that will be as a shift as shift. Okay, that will be as a shift add shift, and then with the shift I want to access that shift table ID, and then shift table field name as a name. Perfect. And then I want to use that image. Okay, so if you want to use that image, I have already used this type of things in our user. Maybe if you go to again the user, into the user, if you go to that add user, here, not here, I have used it into the edit profile. If you go, that is user gender, yeah, that is actually the user profile, right? So that will be actually one of the input field. That means that will be the input field. I copy it, or rather than I copy total our this form group. Okay, there is actually a dev, and there is another dev is standing, and there is a dev. So that is our form group. I copy this form group, total form group from here, and now go to our student, that means the student add here. That is our shift. After the shift I want to update this form group. So that is actually form group is ending on here, right? So I simply paste it. That will be actually our profile image. Okay, and also file type will be as a file type, and name will be as an image. That means if you go to our user, our field name, I have already used this one for our profile. You can see there is an image, right? So that will be as an image. So into the profile, I have already discussed about that things with your friend. One things, if you go to our profile, if you go to your profile, and after that if you go to that edit profile, and with the edit profile here I have already discussed about one of the JavaScript. If you select any image, okay, so right now in our exercise folder I have already created one of the demo picture for the student. Okay, so this type of one of the demo picture I want to use. So here if you select it, automatically it's selected, right? So I also want to apply the same JavaScript, that means frame JavaScript for our this student registration. If you now go to the student registration, go to the add student. So here I also want to add it. So that is actually our profile image. So now if you click as a save all, and now after that if you click as a refresh, yeah, perfect. Now you can see there is a sheet, and all that our sheet is now loaded, and there is a profile picture. So I want to do, when you select any profile picture, automatically this profile picture will be loaded on here. Okay, so into the edit profile I have already done this work. So that is actually one of the image, right? So there is another form group. Better I copy this form group. There is 1, 2 and then 3. Perfect. There is actually the total form group. I copy this form group. Now in our student, so that is our last one. So there is our call for. So now I simply here I paste it. Okay, so now it should be display one of the no image. So no image means here we don't need to use that any database link, only I remove that all. I only use that our URL. Okay, that will be as a URL. And now upload folder, I have already added one of the default picture as a no image, right? So that will be as a no image. And also they have the ID I have used, and if you want to use this ID, you have to also update it, that ID. So that is actually also another ID. So I have already used this in our edit. There have also one of the JavaScript. You can see there is actually JavaScript. So right now I copy it, and now in our student add, after this I want to use it. Okay, so that is our image, and also there is our show image ID. So here we don't need to do anything. I have already discussed about that things with you. There is our show image ID and the image ID, and make that sure you use that Ajax. Here also you have to use it. Better I copy it. I take the things from our edit profile, and also after this I add it. Okay, that means the script will be needed as our jQuery min JS CDN link. So I simply use it. Okay friends, so now that's all. So now that's all for our this form group. So now it should be loaded on here. Now let's check this out. If you now click as a save all, okay, and I am name it as a image, and also that is our shift ID. Perfect. So now if you click as a refresh, yeah, perfect. So that is the things I'm actually looking for. So now if you choose any image, I choose this one, open it. Yes, you can see it's now perfectly loaded. If you choose any other, perfectly loaded, right? That means our JavaScript is now working. So now friend, that's all I hope for our student registration. Okay, that means this add student registration, if I want to add all that our field data, so that have also one of the submit button, that have also one of the form, right? So after this, and that is actually our last one as a input field as a submit, value as a submit, and that is actually our form. So now I want to add this our form action. If you go, that is actually our first one, and here you can see that is actually our form method will be as a post method, and that is our CSRF token. So also make that sure from here I want to upload an image. So if you want to upload an image, you have to add that as a NC type multi-part form data, right? So I simply copy it, because in our edit profile I have already did that work. So after this I added as a NC type multi-part form data. Make that sure you add it. Without this you cannot able to insert any data, right? That means image data. So now our route will be for that will be as a post method, obviously into the action, that is route. I want to create another route as a store student registration. Okay, student is that means the student registration. So that will be our route as the store student registration, right? So now we have to create this route. Now go to our web route, then I copy it. That will be as a post method, obviously. First of all I want to change it, rather than I will forget it. Okay, so that will be as a post, and then not that registration, that will be as a store, and then I want to create one of the method in our student registration controller as a store. That means the student registration store. Okay, that will be student registration store, and then our name will be our route name as a store student registration. I copy it, and then that will be as a student that means store student registration. Perfect. Now we have to create this method in our student registration controller. Now go to our student registration controller, and this form this method here also we have to add a lot of the things actually. So better I put as a public, and then function, and then our method. Okay, that will be our method. And then there is our web. Into the web area, that will be as a post method. So when you use any post method, as I told you before, a lot of the time here you have to pass that as a request, and then our requested dollar request, right? That will be as a dollar request. Perfect. So now friend, we have to add all that our field. Okay, that means all that our field, and this all the data will be separated and it will be inserted in our separate tree of this table. It will be inserted some of the data in our user table. It will be insert some of the data in our assigned students table, and also in our discount table we have to insert this data, right? So better I have to continue this process. In our next video I will show you how can insert all the data, and also how can create some of the unique ID. Okay, how can generate some of the unique ID because of all into the user table. Into the user table, you can see I have also added one of the field name as a ID number. That means this ID automatically it will be generated. Okay, so how can do that work? In our next video I will show you that things with a live example. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.